you will see a great video of Bo and Karen's almost annihilating the game, but not quite. And it's really hilarious. We love filming it there, and everybody who's seen it online, and Scott himself hasn't seen it yet. It's a real fun review, and you learn a lot about total nuclear annihilation. So with the help of Mr. Spooky himself, Charlie Henry, here's Scott Denesi.
Mr. Spooky.
Okay, so I guess I'll talk. Well, hey, I'm going to first start out by saying thanks to you guys for coming here and listening to my crazy ramblings with my raspy voice. I'm going to do my best to talk loudly, but my voice is completely blown out, which is amazing. So actually, I kind of like it though. It sounds like, I don't know, it sounds good.
We started a death metal band 3 days ago, and he's just getting used to the vocal style.
Yeah, I need to do some research online how to do that, but I heard from myself.
Great.
I don't know how that works. So anyway, hey, I'm going to talk about some cool total nuclear annihilation stuff today. I've got some things in here I've just got some really cool slides in here with a bunch of pictures that haven't really been seen much, and should be hopefully interesting. So that said, let's go through and talk a little bit. So introducing myself. So, well, who are these people up here? I'm Scott. I've designed and programmed and engineered and did a bunch of crap on total nuclear annihilation, the pinball machine that was used Charlie, why don't you introduce yourself and say who you are?
I am Charlie Emery, owner of Spooky Pinball LLC, the world's smallest functioning surviving pinball company.
Yeah. Charlie is like refusing to stand up, so I think I'm going to sit.
I'm comfortable. He's not wearing pants.
I am not wearing pants.
So what I do for a living is actually quite interesting. I work for a company called Pinball Life. Most of you probably have heard of it. If not, you probably don't repair your own machines, or you get your parts from somewhere else.
Live from the moon.
Or pinball parts manufacturer and resell. So I've been doing that since 2015, I believe. Yeah. And then I do the engineering and a bunch of other technical stuff over there. And it's a lot of fun. And in my spare time, I apparently make pinball machines. I don't know why I do that, but it's something that I did. Yeah, it's a fun job. My day-to-day life, if I actually were to tell you what I actually do for a living on a day-to-day basis, it's very strange. I can give a fun example. A few weeks ago, I had to take a kiddie ride, and that my boss had purchased, and rig up a Raspberry Pi with a display screen in it that plays any video that we want when you start up the kiddie ride.
And what video did you choose?
Is anyone easily offended in this audience?
Woo!
No?
Yes, I am.
So we got one person on it.
I'm British. I'm easily offended.
It's something called safe for work pornography. Basically what that is it doesn't really describe what it is, but they took an old 70s pornography video and they did cartoons over all the dirty parts. So it's safe for work. There's still people in it, but they're not doing what you think they're doing. They're playing pinball or playing the harmonica or other things. So it's pretty funny. If you guys are curious, you can look that up. I wouldn't recommend doing it at work though. The sound is still a little bit offensive. So anyway, Charlie, what do you do for a living?
My wife, Katie, and I, who was out at Pinball Life yesterday for the charity event and is home with our son Bug today, we own and operate Spooky Pinball LLC. We started on February 1st of 2013, for those of you that don't know. And to this date, we have put over 1,000 pinball machines on this planet, which we're really, really proud of. And we do it all in a tiny little town in Wisconsin of 900 people called Benton. It's as grassroots, small town, mom and pop pinball as you will ever see. We're very content being where we're at, our place in the pinball world, and we're lucky that after me doing some games, and we did a game for Ben Heck, that Scott had enough faith in Spooky Pinball to give us a chance to make Total Nuclear Annihilation for him, and to date, it is our biggest selling game ever.
Woo!
So the next thing on the slide about me is I have no idea what the hell is wrong with me and why I wrote what's my favorite mythical creature. I don't even know the answer to that. I guess if I had to pick something, it'd be like a unicorn or something, or maybe like a combined unicorn with like, I don't know, lion. No. Yeah, like a lion, unicorn, lion man. I don't know. What about you?
Sounds like a good name for a pinball machine.
We're gonna stop screwing around for this, I promise. We're gonna do something actually interesting. There is interesting.
Favorite mythical creature? Well, I would say Godzilla, but that always gets me in trouble now. So I'm just gonna say Bigfoot. I've always had a weird phobia of Bigfoot.
Godzilla's not mythical.
No, he's real.
All right, guys. All right, let's talk about some stuff. So, what am I going to talk about today? We're going to talk a little bit about the game, like what the game is, a little bit of the playfield design. I'm going to go and show a screenshot of what some of the code looks like. I know some people might not be interested in that, but there are a certain amount of people out there that are really like myself that would actually like to see it. So I'm going to show that. We've got some never before in art that I was able to dig out of Matt Andrews, who did the art for the game. We'll talk a little about the music. I'll show the light show generator that made those light shows, and then we'll talk a little bit about the game number 2 stuff.
Wait, what?
Not that. No, it's fine.
What?
There's nothing weird in there.
I didn't approve this. You're kidding, right? You're kidding.
It's too late. It's too late. It's made. PowerPoint's made. All right, Total Nuclear Annihilation production by Spooky. So this game, I think, is there anyone in the audience that has not played it or is not familiar with the game itself? Okay, perfect. All right, we got like a couple of people. So it's a single level playfield, which is a thing that hasn't been done in a long time. But basically, I wanted to make a game that was just really easy to understand, hard to master, so that we can play toddler games on it, like with friends, right?
For amusement only.
Yeah, for amusement only, of course. It uses the latest pinball technology, the P-Rock multimorphic system. So it has like full RGB. It's got an LCD screen. It's running a ridiculous computer inside of it. It's meant to encourage multiplayer games. So it's got things like co-op and strange modes in it, which you can actually work together to go through and destroy reactors. It's kind of fun. The team that actually worked on this game was actually more than myself. So I did the original concept and the original prototype in the Whitewood format, but Charlie here from Spooky Pinball did all of the like paying the bills and stuff. Managing the team over there at Spooky.
Sourcing all the stuff that we don't get from Pinball Life, all that kind of stuff, the custom metal, the playfields, we do that, we do the cabinets, we do the glass, the decal, all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we got a Jimmy Lippman. He lives down in Austin, Texas. He did the operating system, so he is much more smart than myself and created this embedded Linux system for TNA so that the computer is super robust. It can just be powered off whenever. It doesn't matter. It's a read-only system. It's pretty cool. I don't know too much about it because it's way over my head, but it's definitely reliable and great. Michael Ocean was the skeleton game framework engineer, so he built this thing called Skeleton Game, which is what I started with, and that is all written in Python. That basically gives you a blank game to start with that will, when you hit the start button, it will kick a ball and play, let you play 3 balls, and then end, and that's where you start. So it gives you just a good starting point. It's kind of cool. Jerry Stellenberg did the multimorphic P3 system. He did all the engineering for that and all the production for that. Matt Andrews did the artwork. David Van Est did the LCD animations, so the actual ones that were used in production, not the crappy ones that I had on my Whitewood that I may or may not have ripped off the internet.
David Van Ness has literally done the animations in every game you've ever seen from Spooky Pinball, with the exception of America's Most Wanted. The guy's amazing.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, he's super talented. It's ridiculous. And then I did the rest of it, which was like the concept design, music, sound effects, that kind of stuff. I actually did the programming for this game as well.
All the minor details.
It's just, yeah, it's so overwhelming, you guys. Don't do this, please. Save yourself. All right, so early on designing the playfield, like people ask me this question all the time, like how do how do I go about designing a pinball machine? Did I just build it, or did I do something in the computer first, or what? So the unfortunate answer is I built it in 3D in SolidWorks. So SolidWorks, if you guys don't know, is an industry standard application that does 3D part creation, right, and assembly creation for mechanicals. And you know, I'm trained up in that software, so I have a little bit of an upper hand in that, unfortunately. But you don't have to do it this way. You can actually just build a pinball machine just by physically building it. But this is how I did it. So here's a screenshot of an early on version of TNA. This one has the plastics removed from it, so you can see the stuff underneath. But most of the parts are there. Everything is kind of mocked up in its place, and it's pretty cool. So, and from here, I draw this in 3D. We then take this 3D file and I export it out to AutoCAD format. I'm sure most people have heard of AutoCAD. AutoCAD is a great 2D program. It is the industry standard of two-dimensional drafting. So luckily SolidWorks will spit that format out no problem, and then this format can go off to the CNC and off to the CNC company to actually cut the playfield. So the plastics and the apron, the ball guides, like all this stuff had to be converted into a flat DXF, is what we call that for AutoCAD. So I had to convert all that stuff out. So it was just pretty ridiculous and time consuming, but you know, it's worth it when you can send it off to a machine and have the machine actually cut the pieces for you instead of hand cutting them. So, all right, so the code, what does the code look like? I got a simple example of the code that I'm going to show you guys. As I said earlier, it uses the skeleton game framework. It uses Python, which is a programming language that is super simple. They actually teach Python to children to get their mindset going in a programming sort of way, to get them start to think in a programming way. And I'm going to show you what Python looks like. It's basically English. So here's, if you guys can see it, hopefully you can read it in the back there, but this right here is a little screenshot of the code that happens when a ball enters the scoop, the left scoop. So it has to make a few decisions when the ball falls in there. So the first thing it's doing is, this is the definition for the actual scoop switch getting hit right here. So it's saying if that switch gets activated for 100 milliseconds, then do something, right? So then it executes the code below. The first thing it's going to check is it's going to say, hey, is the mystery mode lit, right? Should I award a mystery mode for this person? And it's also checking if multi-ball is not active. So it's making sure that you're not in multi-ball and mystery is lit. So it's saying, all right, so is mystery going and you're not in multi-ball? Let's fire off the mystery mode. It hands it off to the mystery mode. It doesn't do anything else. It just exits right here. If mystery is not lit or it's in multi-ball, it goes on to the next thing and says, is the reactor ready to be started? And then also it's also checking on this line saying, and making sure that the reactor is not already starting because it's about to start that reactor. So if the ball goes in there and bounces, or if a switch is flaky, you don't want it to try to start the reactor multiple times. It could cause an issue. So from there, it hands it off to something I have called core control mode, which will start up the reactor for you. Now, if none of those are happening, right, then the scoop is not lit for mystery, you're not in multi-ball, you're not ready to start a reactor. What it has to do is it has to kick the ball out, right, at you extremely quickly, right? It's something that the guys of you that play this game, you can see that ball comes out of there extremely fast. Well, it still does make decisions before it kicks that ball out. So it looks at the user settings of the service mode and says, well, there's something called left scoop processing speed, which allows you to slow that scoop down a little bit. So there's a few settings. There's normal, there's medium, and then there's lane, which is just something kind of funny I put in there just as a joke. But first thing it does is it checks if that setting is set to lane. If it's set to lane, what it does is it'll wait 200 milliseconds, which is 0.2 seconds, and then it will fire the ball out. So it gives the player just a little bit more time to react to that ball coming out. If that happens, it just ends the little definition here.
Can we tell you Steve Ritchie's scoop story?
Yeah, we can.
The first time Steve played the game, he's like, Scott, you need to slow that scoop down. It's gonna burn people.
Yeah, he was mad about that for like a few games, and after a while he came around and was like, you know, I like that fast. You know, I can't do a Steve Ritchie voice.
Be mean, just let him kick right in the square in the nads. Perfect. Leave it alone.
I wish Steve Ritchie was in here to say that. But yeah, it was pretty funny. That was at MGC with the prototype, so that was pretty good. Or the Whitewood, I mean. So the next one is checking if it's medium. If it's set on medium, it actually waits 100 milliseconds before kicking out. And if it's set to normal or set to something else, it just kicks it out immediately. So it doesn't wait at all. So the minimum amount of time that ball can actually be in the scoop on TNA is 100 milliseconds because of the top definition there where it says that switch has to be active for 100 milliseconds before it does anything. So that's kind of neat. I mean, I'm sorry if that's boring for some people. It is. Like, my wife actually was like, dude, you gotta take that out of this presentation. You're gonna like
Go to the next screen fast.
seriously. Yeah, that's what, yeah, exactly. You fall asleep from there, Jack?
I'm trying not to, guys.
Okay, he's trying not to. Okay, cool.
Scott,
All right, guys. So, and down here too, check this out. This is Python and the PROC game framework. It's basically English. That right there, that line of code, is what I type in to make a coil fire. I don't have to worry about anything else. I don't have to worry about disabling the coils or making sure it's on too long or like not on too long or anything. Like that is the code that I fire that coil. It's super easy. I think Python is a really good choice for this because it's not intimidating because the rest of the whole structure and making a pinball machine is hard enough as it is. You might as well use something that kind of makes sense. All right, so we're done with that. Let's look at some of the artwork stuff. This is kind of cool. I'm going to show you guys some of the Easter eggs that are hidden in the artwork, which is pretty cool, actually. That artwork was done by Matt Andrews. It's that Outrun style artwork. You know, it's meant to look like this retro futuristic style thing that, you know, I don't know if it's actually a thing. I guess it's like the steampunk of the 80s, I guess is the easiest way to explain that. You know, if you guys know what steampunk is, some people don't, some people do. But anyway, here's the final back glass. So this is what it looks like in production. Has the score windows cut out of it right through the artwork that was there.
How many of you guys are Photoshop guys? That was completely done in Illustrator.
Wow.
That's
Wait,
amazing.
how? What?
If you're an art nerd and if you've been in that realm, to do that in Illustrator is insane. But yeah, that's Matt Andrews. He's pretty damn amazing.
That's pretty crazy.
And I've handled artwork from several artists like Rick Furs, one of the big names. And yeah, I've never seen anybody send me a file in Illustrator to that level. It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Something to point out here, and it's pretty neat, is the girl in the back glass is actually modeled after a picture of my wife, which is pretty cool. Matt Andrews came up with that idea.
Somebody scored points.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I totally came up with that. It was my idea completely. But it was like it's a thing that sort of happened. I think it was really cool. I think it's a nice little homage to her. She did a lot actually on this project behind the scenes by not making me do as many chores as I needed to do while I was working on this game. So that is her little nod there. So not really an Easter egg, but you know, that's what that is. So here's a little sketch. This is cool. This is actually a sketch that Matt Andrews sent me, and when we were first trying to lay out the back glass. So it's pretty far along actually. So at this point, the girl actually does not look like my wife in that picture. And you can also see the nuclear is missing from there. I don't know if have you guys heard the story about why the nuclear got added? No? Okay, so in February of 2017, maybe? Yeah, so in February 2017, Atari renewed the trademark to the game from the 90s called Total Annihilation. And Atari is, at this point right now, they've got a lot more money than I do. And I don't know if you know how court works, but it's pretty much the person with the most money wins. So we had, I don't know if Yancey is here, but we were trying to come up with like ideas to change this, and Yancey came up with throwing nuclear in the middle of it. And then he was kind of like waiting for me to like realize what the initials were, and I wasn't getting it. He's like, I get it? I'm like, sure. But I ended up being TNA, which is kind of silly. So. And Charlie tried to call it Scott Denesi's Total Annihilation. I was like, that's just... That's ridiculous. Okay, let's move on. Let's take a look here. Let's look at some of the hidden stuff in the back glass. This image of the back glass you're looking at right here does not have the score displays in it. It's actually, I just put the wrong image in the presentation, but it's kind of cool to see that. This was done before we had the score displays actually in the back glass. So it's slightly different. Let me scroll back real quick here. You see some stuff was moved around. The pyramid was moved up slightly to make room for those score displays. And the spooky information on the left side was also moved up. So you can kind of see the difference there. So let's go in. So let's see. First thing is over here on the right side. There's a guy standing in front of a computer. This zoomed in on it. That's an actual screenshot of the computer code, the core control code. It was just actually from my laptop. Matt's like, you got any code we can put in here? Like, what do you want me to make it say? I'm like, well, I mean, I can just like, you know, I alt print screen, right? And I'm like, here, use this. So that's kind of funny. You can see like there's like some comment lines in there. It actually looks pretty clean. My code isn't super clean like that. Like if you actually looked at the code, you know, but it looks good there. It's kind of funny. And like, no one would have ever really known that. You know, you can't read it really. So some other cool stuff. Let's see. All right. This thing down here on the nuclear barrel, it says parts from Terry on it. Well, Terry is my boss. Terry is the owner of Pinball Life, and he helped out tremendously on this project by giving me whatever parts I needed to build the prototype. And I'm very, very thankful for that. I could not have done it without Terry's support, because he also helped me just, you know, I was able to, don't tell him, this is being recorded, crap, I'm gonna get fired. But he gave me time during the day to actually work on it a little bit when I had some free time to just like, you know, think about some things and do that. So that was pretty nice of him to let me do that. But all right, what's next on here? I don't even know. I did this thing. Oh, this is good. You guys ready for this thing? So down here in the bottom corner, there's a busted down movie poster with some lights on it. This is actually a movie poster of the movie Lion Man. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie at all. It's really good.
In the future, it hasn't come out yet.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. This movie has not come out yet. This movie stars two people, Doug Manley and Jay Brand. Those people actually are sitting in the audience right now, right behind you. Stand up, guys, stand up. Come on, stand up. These guys, those are in the movie Lion Man. High five it.
They aren't sitting together. What did Doug do this time?
I don't know. That's good stuff. But anyway, that's a movie poster. We wanted to sneak in some kind of Lion Man reference in there because, you know, why? I mean, because Lion Man's Lion Man, so everyone knows that. All right, what do we got up here? Oh, there's some stuff up here. Check this out. Let's zoom in up here. So there's just some billboards in the background. Matt Andrews wanted to sneak in some billboards because there were some joke advertisements in my whitewood machine. I think I had an advertisement for Crystal Pepsi at one point. Just because I was joking, I was like, hey, I'm going to put advertisements in here from the future of failed 90s or 80s products that, you know, but pretend that they were like, they caught on a lot and like they are like the thing, right? So the first thing over here on the left side is something called Biddy Disc. I'm sure you guys can probably recognize the shape of that. Remember those mini disc things? Those didn't catch on, but in this reality they did. All right. I liked mini disc though. They were small.
It was like the little square that had the.
Yeah, but it was like a CD inside there, but it was totally protected, so you couldn't scratch it. You know?
You can't everywhere except America.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So apparently it caught on everywhere except America. So that is what I was informed. All right. The next thing. All right. Super obvious. Crystal Cola. This was invented by Crystal, who's sitting in the audience there. I'm just kidding. She didn't invent that. It's with a K, spelled wrong. Close though. No, there's missing letters. So anyway, that was like Crystal Pepsi, like throwback, like make fun of thing. So Kind of funny. This apparently, I think this is supposed to be the Fiero that I have. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Matt won't admit to whatever that is. But I thought it was kind of cool. He called it the S19. I don't know, made by some fictitious company. Matt also put his own little logo in here, which he hid pretty well. I think it's kind of fun to try and find in Matt's artwork where he hides the logo. He's really good at disguising it, so it's very hard to find. He also put in, and this took me forever to find, and we didn't see this until like much further along.
Oh, it's a spooky eyes.
It's the old school Spooky Pinball logo. Remember that? Or the Spooky Podcast logo.
Yeah.
Isn't that like decommissioned a long time
That
ago?
was before Greg was nice enough to draw us a whole ghost to go with the eyes, and we had just the eyes.
Nice. All right, what else do we have here? Oh, okay, so cool, there's some more drawings in here. This is the cool little futuristic helicopter that Matt drew. So Matt sent me this little image when he was trying to sketch out ideas for a futuristic helicopter. I thought it was interesting. It's kind of cool. That's the final on the left, and then on the right side, this is his sketch. So, pretty neat. I think there's another one of these too. Oh yeah, this thing Matt calls the chicken mech. I don't know, it kind of looks like a chicken, I guess. I doubt it flies, so like a chicken. But yeah, it's kind of neat though. He drew that up, and I was like, oh yeah, we gotta put that in there. That's cool. So, very talented dude. I mean, even that black and white photo of that is just really cool. All right, is there any more? Oh, there is more. There's more. Okay. This guy is the security guy. So Matt drew up a security guy who's supposed to be like, you know, trying to fight you, and you know, I don't know. He's like announcing things and stuff. But he put him up there. But I got the actual sketch that he drew, which was really highly detailed for how much he scaled it down. It almost feels like a waste. So, but there he is. He doesn't have a name either. He's just security guy.
Hey,
Yeah.
isn't that woman holding the plunger?
So that let's go back real quick. So what he's talking about is the girl in the back glass is holding a red button, and this is funny because it wasn't until about 3 or 4 months ago that I even knew that Pat Lawler hid red buttons in his artwork or in his his machines. So this is actually just a coincidence, but a really neat coincidence. So, yeah, kind of neat. I should have circled that. So that's kind of fun to talk about. Yeah, it's a red button, and she's holding it. It's a detonator.
And her name is Scarlet.
Oh yeah, her name's Scarlet. That means red, right? All right, cool.
Another accident.
Another accident. Is it? All right, so it's a playfield art. Check out this. So on the left, we've got the actual production playfield art, and on the right was one of the sketches that Matt gave me when we were first doing some things, and I put some notes on it in red to have him incorporate some of this stuff into the plastics and also the playfield. So there's things like spell core on the top. There's the grid down in the center. There's things like spinner advances reactor. All sorts of other little random things here. I'll scroll down a little bit to see more here. In the middle, there's a destroy all reactors for total annihilation. And you can see that actually made it onto the playfield there, right above the island. I believe, Jay, you drew this island, didn't you? Yeah, I think you did. And the whitewood. So
Didn't it have like little Aboriginal people on it?
It had people on it, but then when I cleaned the playfield with Novus once, they started coming off, and I decided just to
get rid of them.
Just they had like, they were like had spears and stuff, and it didn't really fit. It wasn't real
The race
futuristic.
from time.
If they had laser guns, then maybe. All right, and then down below we get the ball save timer, and then the bonus data display module, which is kind of fun. So here's some of the also the artwork mock-ups for the plastics. So the bottom obviously is the production plastic, and the top would be the sketch that he did. So there's the completing the grid and how it made it on the production game. There's the spinner advances reactor, which is kind of cool. And I just keep looking at this stuff and just like, I could never do art like this. It's just very, very impressive. There's spell rad to like mystery. That's on the left side there. This is really cool too, actually. So Matt created a custom font for TNA. So this is the font that's actually used on the side armor. So the side rails have a laser cut total nuclear annihilation in them. And this is what he created for it. So it's just futuristic laser font. He also made it, which is quite interesting, is you'll notice that this font is also laser friendly, so you can for the most part, you can cut all of it, except for the B. I think the B had a problem where we had to fix it later on, but like a piece would fall out of it. But all good. All right, so the music and sound effects. I'm gonna start speeding up a little bit too, because like I'm running low on time. I got a lot of stuff here still. The music and sound effects. I composed the music itself. Each reactor in the game has a different soundtrack. So it's a different sound or different song completely. All the sound effects are all custom, and I did all of this using 100% digital music composition software. So some of you guys probably have seen some of the live streams I've done with a lot of the analog hardware. I did not actually use the analog hardware in the composition of this music. I did it all digitally, which is, it's fine, but some of my peers, friends kind of, shake their heads at me. It's too hard. It's too hard. When you're in a time crunch, you gotta do what you gotta do. But, the album itself. So I actually released the album. The music is released on an album on iTunes, on Google Play Music, on Spotify. Released that in January. Actually, I released the digital in February. Released it on cassette in January, which is kind of fun because we're like, hey, cassette, 80s, like the cassettes caught on in this reality, and they became a thing, right? So cassettes and mini discs apparently. Mini discs were too expensive and stupid to make right now.
Yeah.
Like they're done, I think. Right? Like no one uses them anymore, right?
No.
No, they're gone. Okay, perfect.
I have one.
You have one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you still use it?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
They're very good for going to a live concert where they'll allow you to connect to the sound.
Oh, okay, so he's saying they're really good for connecting to the soundboards when you're recording live concerts. and
Live
stuff.
concerts. If the band will allow you to.
If the band will allow you, yeah.
Some do.
Well, all right. Okay, so the light shows. This is interesting because at first, the light show generators, I used the Dutch Pinball Suite. And later on, I actually switched over to the open source skeleton game light show generator. So this thing allows you to create a little movie. And what you do is you export this movie into a framed PNG sequence, is what it's called. It's just a bunch of images. And what it does is it plays it back over the top of a picture of your playfield. And it will create a light show for you. And then you just take that light show file and dump it in your game, and voila, there you go, you have a track mode and stuff. So it's kind of like cheating. Those light shows that I did not do by hand. So that would have taken an eternity to make those. It would have just been insane. Yeah.
Is that color? Can you do color with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a bad example. I was messing with something when I was taking screenshots, and I was trying to make a TNA scroll across in a track mode, which I haven't done yet. Maybe I just spoiled the next release. Surprise. But I just did it in white and that one, but it's full RGB. Like, so TNA is all the GI, all of the inserts, everything is RGB. So I can do whatever I want on it. It's basically just a very, very low resolution display at that point. Yep. Pretty cool. So now let's show some stupid, embarrassing photos. I have some good ones in here. These are pretty fun. So this photo we're looking at, this is super interesting because this is at MGC 2017, right? Yes. Yeah, MGC 2017. I get the dates all messed up. I needed a cabinet that was more shallow than the normal spooky cabinet because the single level playfield would have looked really funny in a Rob Zombie cabinet where it's very deep and built for ramps and things sticking up very high in it. So Charlie built me this cabinet and brought it to MGC. It was like sitting in the back of the spooky booth the whole time, no one asking any questions. I'm not sure why Sarah and I got into the cabinet, but I mean,
Scott was that excited to see it. That was the first time you'd actually seen a total nuclear annihilation cabinet.
That was the first time I've seen it in real life, yeah. So it wasn't on legs, wasn't painted, nothing. So yeah, that's that. That looked really funny and stoned. I promise I was not.
And we knew at that point that the game was going to get made. Nobody else did. So the fact that thing sat in the booth all weekend and nobody asked any questions was like,
whoa.
That was pretty funny, actually. So anyway, I just decided to sit it because that's what normal people do, right? Yes? I think. All right, there's a picture of me actually painting that cabinet. So that's pretty fun and boring. All right, and there's a picture of Andrew. Andrew is the owner of APB Enterprises. He does eat paint, but I promise he is a sane person. He's helping me as well. Andrew was a big help assembling the prototype machine. He came over after work and helped me put together the wiring and anything else that I needed to do. This was officially the first time that I saw the back glass printed on glass. So, like, translates are one thing, but an actual, like, that art printed on real glass, and by the way, that's really heavy, and I was, like, struggling to hold that up for as long as the picture was taken. I'm just like, come on. Seeing that, like, with the sunlight shining through it is totally incredible. Like, I recommend if you guys are ever getting stuff printed on glass, do it. Like, it's just amazing. Anyone building a custom game, price out how much it is to print something on glass because it just makes actually a difference when light goes through it. All right, let's skip one. All right, so here is a picture of the prototype machine when I had an actual whitewood in it that was cut from Spooky Pinball. So this one's cut and the inserts were populated by Spooky, and then I just started populating it for fitment. So this was kind of cool because we had the side rail prototypes on there as well. I don't think these are the actual production ones. I think there were some minor changes that had to happen, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty close. We didn't do too many takes of it, but this is a really cool look at when I was first mocking up the parts to make sure everything was fitting. Here is the first set of plastics ever made for TNA. And I think this picture was taken, did you take this? I think this is, yeah, so Charlie took this.
It's in the print room, it's with me.
Yeah, so he was very happy to send me that. I then got those plastics and I was able to kind of mock them up on the whitewood that I had and just make sure that they fit, make sure they looked great, and it's just, it blows your mind when you start seeing stuff like this come together because you can see it in a computer all day, but when you see it physically start coming together, it's completely different.
It was fun too because when we brought the plastics and we brought the printed playfield in at the same time, and Scott's office is at one end of the building at Pinball Life. Terry and Margaret are in the front half. So I went into the front half. I always go through the back half of the building where Scott is. I went to the front half and we had everything sitting up, 2 sets of plastics, 2 sets of playfield, everything that Scott needed to complete a pre-production model. And Terry, Scott Denesi, get up there now! Like, he was pissed.
He sounded pissed, like, which isn't uncommon. I mean, I get in trouble at work sometimes, like everyone else, I think. Maybe that's not normal, I don't know.
But yeah, Scott walked in and I think we almost made him cry.
They almost got a tear out of me because they had I think 2 playfields printed. They had the cabinet decals, they had the back glass, they had translights. It was everything. I was blown away by seeing that because again, seeing a picture of the playfield with the art on it on a computer screen and then seeing it in real life with a clear-coated playfield is a completely different experience. It's nuts. So, yeah, I was trying to hold back tears because he was recording me and I didn't want to look, like a person who cries, but I guess it's normal to cry, so maybe I probably just should have. You know what? I'm too happy right now, guys. All right, so here are the first pictures of the fully assembled with all the parts that Charlie brought me that day, prototype TNA. So this is these pictures are taken at Spooky Pinball headquarters where I brought the game to show the guys there and to start really going through and taking pictures, like real professional pictures of it for the flyer and for the announcement of the price and everything and opening up sales for it. So it's pretty cool.
And if you look to the apron decals are actually prototype that I made.
Oh yeah.
Stealing elements from Matt Andrews' artwork because they weren't done yet. We needed to do something for the photo shoot that Scott kind of had to go back and do. Like it was like the next week he had them done, but we threw them in there for people's.
Yeah, we just
I
always
still
forgot
have a
about
set
it.
of those actually.
I mean, we were in a hurry to make sure this thing was just got done, but there were like things that we forgot, like the apron cards. I forgot to make those. You know, it's fun stuff like that you forget. This is interesting because like that machine was at Spooky and actually had its back glass destroyed.
My fault.
Was it your fault?
It was
Did
my
I?
fault.
Oh man. So I was on the other end of the building, and they had taken my game apart to look at some things, and I had the back glass, the prototype back glass in there, and I hear like a, you know, that noise, the tempered glass breaking noise, and I'm like, oh, someone's in trouble, you know, like kind of laughing about it. And I kind of walked over to where the noise happened, and it was all purple and pink all over the floor, and I'm like, no. Yeah.
We made them another one. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I got another one, so it's okay, but it's not the
It occupies
one.
the space the original one was in, Scott.
But it's not the one. I want the one back. It's not coming back.
Sweep it out and put it in
A little bit, it is like hang it there. Yeah, that's too good. So we took it outside and take pictures. So if you know anything about selling pinball machines, you always take them outside, put them in the shade, and then take pictures. Don't ever put them in the sun, makes them look awful. I don't know why, but the shade is perfect. So there's a picture of us hanging out. I think there's old man Brian Kelly there. We got Jesse, there's Brian, there's Bug in the background, and there's me standing there doing some, God knows what on my phone. Yeah, that's that. And you know, there's a couple of my friends enjoying the prototype machine, like any normal person would do. I think that's normal behavior.
These are the mythical creatures we're talking about.
They could be mythical creatures. So in 2017, during Expo last year, we had a little open house release party for TNA where we brought in, I brought in all 3 of the iterations of pinball machines that I had, which were in the order that you're seeing here, kind of starting with the closest one. That's a production machine with a butter cabinet. The middle one is the prototype machine, and the one in the far back over there where the guy in the red shirt is playing, that is the Whitewood. So we had 3 machines there, and it was a great time, actually. And you can see in the background too, actually, there's a Playboy on top of one of Jay's creations called the Vajazzler, which is a giant turntable, which has a power outlet in the middle that can actually rotate and still work. It can rotate an infinite amount of times. So you put a pinball machine on there, you jump on it, you play. Infinite, maybe not. Yeah.
And the silver curtain right on the other side of the Playboy is one of those funhouse vortex tunnels that you walk in and it screws with your balance. And inside it was an Orbiter 1. And you had to play that in a vortex tunnel. It was, I got through the first ball and I'm done. I'm out. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool one too as well. Yeah, that was the release party we had. Here's a random picture of Charlie and I at
Enjoy Skating Classic.
well, we jumped in the CERN booth and just started signing Ghostbusters flyers for people. No one really cared or kicked us out, so we just kept doing it. I don't know. I guess it was fine.
We threw that on Facebook and George Gomez offered us jobs.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So, here's another picture from MGC. This is a picture of the Whitewood audits. There's the section in the service menu called reactor audits, which tell you how many times each reactor has been started. And what you can see down there in the bottom is actually, this was after Bowen went through and completely annihilated the game. So there is 1 total annihilations.
On the original Whitewood.
On the original Whitewood was the first time it was done. And what's really funny about it is, if you look at Reactor 9 started, that was done 2 times. Bowen didn't beat the game the first time he played it. He got to Reactor 9 and failed miserably, and we pressured him again to do it. And
Got to Reactor 9 and failed miserably.
Yeah. Because can you imagine that feeling? I've never been to Reactor 9
I've
without
never been to Reactor
glass
5.
I started Reactor 5 one time, and I felt really good about it. I think that's great. But can you imagine getting to Reactor 9 and then draining on ball 3 and watching that bonus count start? I mean, that would just be That's awful.
I literally can't imagine what that must feel like.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to talk. The next slide, I'm going to talk a little about the next game.
Wait, what?
That I'm working on now. There's a preview of the next slide on my screen right now. And Charlie doesn't know what I have.
What do you got, Scott?
Nothing.
That's it.
Charlie
Take
didn't.
the laptop.
Charlie didn't approve my presentation. So anyway, the theme actually has been decided on at this stage. The current stage of the project is I've already cut 2 whitewoods. I am in the process of cutting a 3rd whitewood because I have geometry errors that just don't work right with the guide rails. I'm probably going to be cutting about 7 of these total is my guess before I get it right because it has to absolutely be perfect. I am very, very OCD about shots, about rattly shots or not lined up shots or just shots that just don't feel right when you actually shoot them. And you cannot simulate that in a computer. There's just no way to know what's going to happen until you actually play the game. So I'm going to be cutting a bunch more of these. But unfortunately, we're not going to be showing anything just because I want to keep it under wraps for a while.
You said that was it.
What? 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 Haunted house party is a theme for sure.
We're working on something.
I don't want to talk about it. So anyway, the spooky release plan. So people ask me this all the time. So after Alice Cooper, the next spooky game that will come out, the next new spooky game off the line will be the game that I'm working on right now, which is very exciting and very stressful for me. But the best part is, if I need more time and I need to slow down, and there's demand for it, we can run TNA again once we stop. I think if there's interest, that might give me a little more time to make sure everything's right. So I'm hoping that does.
And I can tell you from a business standpoint, we came off a couple of manufacturing games.
Contract manufacturing?
Yeah, contract manufacturing games, which were fantastic for Spooky. It was terrific. It gave me a little more time to work on Alice, but I still wasn't happy with where it was. So Scott having Total Nuclear Annihilation there to kind of bail me out and give me some more time for the first time in Spooky history, really, to kind of refine some things. And there's still things in it, yeah, that pinball's like an artist, you're never completely satisfied. I've never seen anybody more nervous than Scott, because my first game was Rob Zombie, which sold out quick, and then it had kind of mixed reviews, and it's found its audience now, and it's all great. But Scott's first game out of the gate is like 2017 Pinball News. Thank you, Martin. Game of the year. It's won trophies all over the country. So I'm telling you, this young man's a little nervous about, oh, I'm going to follow myself with something that doesn't suck.
It's called the sophomore effort,
Yeah,
and it usually isn't good.
but
I'm just kidding.
he's incredibly capable.
I'm super happy with what's going on right now.
Yeah, and he should be. And as Spooky, Scott is an absolute godsend. He's wonderful to work with. Just a lot of good people that have helped us get where we are today, and Scott's a huge part of that. And I'm going to start crying. So I'm just going to say, I'm just going to, nope,
Do it.
nope. I'm not going to let Jason be crying.
I don't have a handkerchief or anything. You know, I could cry. Probably my voice would choke up a little bit. It would probably just sound the same. Who knows? Yeah.
And our biggest selling games to date are Total Nuclear Annihilation and Alice Cooper, and they're back to back. So
Actually,
you don't
you
see
should
us with a
like
giant
Adrian.
flashing light in the vendor hall right now saying, come buy our spooky games, because we're trying to catch up. And that's considering where we started like 5-6 years ago, it's a tremendous thing to have happen for our tiny little family-based company. So, and yeah, so no pressure, Scott.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. You know what's really cool is Alice Cooper is capped at 500 units. And my game doesn't have a license, so we can make however many, right? Doesn't matter.
Total Nuclear is
How many games have sold?
Scott
keeps calling Katie because he wants to buy 501 because that means I can never catch him.
I'm seriously gonna buy that game. I don't even know what number we're at right now, but it's.
She told me yesterday it was $4.98.
Okay, guys. So I'm gonna fence right now because I'm gonna make him buy me a shitty plastic trophy once I hit 501.
That I can never take back because our contract with Alice Cooper is exactly 500 units.
501, guys.
And for the first time in Spooky Pinball history, we announced it on the podcast, and it kind of got some people around. Oh, we're trying to do a cash grab. We're going to build 550 total nuclear annihilations, whether they're sold or not. And we've never financially been in a position to just go, you know what, we're going to build some games, and people call them. We're all caught up. You want a total nuclear? It's sitting on the floor. You can take it. We're going to take them to shows. You can buy them there. Scott's working on with what is it again? Haunted House Party. That we're sitting pretty good right now. It
He's
feels
pretending
really
not to be
nice.
mad at me right now because I wasn't supposed to show that. I'm pouring on this laptop. I need this. So anyway, going back to what I'm working on now, though, the roles are a little different, though, than TNA, which is really exciting for me because the design, the prototyping, and the engineering will all be done by myself, which is obviously a much shorter list than TNA. The rules, the software, the storyboarding, all that stuff is going to be done by spooky guys, right? So I don't have to do programming, which is going to be awesome. Yeah, I don't want to do that again, even though it's not difficult, it's time consuming. The animations will be done in-house at Spooky, and the audio is actually up in the air at the moment. I don't know if I will do that or someone else will. I would love to, but I don't know yet what's going on. I can write house party music though.
It was a blast last weekend. We actually had Bowen Cairns, David Van Ness, Scott Denesi, and myself, and we flew everybody up to Scott's house and crashed at Casa Denesi. And,
That's fun.
and just kind of started planning everything out. And to have guys like Bowen and David Van Ness and everybody from the get-go, where it doesn't all have to fall on one guy, is absolutely tremendous. And yeah, of course, Scott's going to be directing all this, and it's going to be the way he wants it. And to date, I've costed out exactly nothing from anything he's ever done, and it's not about to change. We would rather make a great game,
Wait, really?
make an extra $10. Yes.
Anything I can write?
Well, so, you know, we don't need emeralds or diamonds or anything in there. Diamond-plated kickback scoops.
So yeah, that's basically it. Now, I mean, let's. You guys have any questions about any of this stuff? It's very complicated. That is a terrible picture of myself.
That's an awesome picture.
That's actually the first selfie I ever took in my lifetime.
It shows.
Yeah. I was trying really hard to make it pretty. What do we got down there?
PinOS that runs TNA, is that open source?
So it's called Pinix, actually, and its intention is to be open source. Jimmy has not got it to a point where he wants to release it yet to the public because he wants to have a release plan and make sure that there's support and documentation out there for it. But he definitely is going to release it eventually, I think. Last time we talked, he's definitely going to release it, but he may have changed it. It's a really incredible system, actually. So it has updated capability via USB already built in. So you can honestly just stick a USB in there with code on it, and it just blasts it right to the game, restarts it, boom, it's done.
It certainly has made my life a lot easier, and the tech support a lot simpler.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scott, I wondered if in any part of the coding for the current game or the new game that Python becomes a limitation for you. We use it in my business, and whilst it's great, it's kind of great for some prototyping. As an interpreted language, it's sometimes run out of steam. Have you got any concerns about that?
Okay, so the question is if I have any concerns about using Python and working within its limitations going forward with the pinball machines. So something interesting about how PROC works is all of the high priority stuff in terms of enabling, disabling coils, turning on and off lights, scanning the switches, all of that stuff is handled in C.
Right.
So there in C, or it's C++ actually, but that is a very highly reliable and very limitless and complicated programming language, which obviously is, I do know how to program in it, I'm not good at it, and I don't have to be, which is the best part. Python is for laying out the rules and for laying out like when sounds should be played or when a light show should be triggered. So the Python limitations are not even a factor in this because of how we've got it structured. So it just makes it for programming the demo machine much easier that way. So hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Further? Yep.
The butter cabinets, we do those actually, it started early on in my printing career, early pinball career. I spent a lot of time in the printing industry. We convinced Jersey Jack that it would be just amazing to do those first 1,000 Emerald City limited edition WAS games in what we deemed the butter cabinets. Terry said they looked like it dipped in butter, they were so pretty. It was basically direct print with automotive clear coat. There's no decals involved. Jersey Jack kind of went away from it over the years, and it was something that I had actually come up with, and like I said, we talked Jack into it. Give him credit for taking the risk and trying it. We decided on Rob Zombie that at the tail end of the run, we were going to do a handful of games in that style again because we hadn't done it in a few years. And Rob Zombie has one, Terry has one, Matt from Back Alley Creations, who did all the toys in that game, he has one, and I have one. So there's only like 5 of those out there. But on Total Nuclear, we decided to offer it as an upgrade. It's $1,000 because it's ridiculously hard and expensive to do that without causing a brand. They have to be wrapped, handled, everything special. You have to be so careful with it. And yeah, I was shocked how many people actually jumped on it. They just want something. We don't really do like an LE version of anything, but we do give you the option to upgrade some stuff that doesn't really change the gameplay, but it gives you a prettier package for your game. And it's a little beyond that even. It's all done basically on a UV flatbed. So it's digital, which means you can get much more detail, much more vibrant. Well, not saying that screen printing, you can use some pretty crazy neon colors and stuff too. But you're not going to get the level of detail that you'll get with what we're doing. It's kind of wasted a bit on the TNA cabinet art because it's meant to be retro and it should look like it was screen printed. If you go in to Rob Anthony's room and see the Alice Cooper in there, that's a decal version of Alice Cooper, but that in the Butter Edition cabinet is absolutely ridiculous. Nobody needs that. I'm not encouraging people to buy it. If you do, we encourage you to come pick your game up in person. We have shipped them as far as Australia without any problems, but you have to handle them with kid gloves. And I'm making them sound more fragile than they are.
They're not fragile.
They're really not. The game that's, if you were out at the Pinball Life Open House, that thing has been all over the country. And it's been shipped where I haven't been. And it's still fine. So, like, if you bang it off a door frame, you're going to cry.
No, you won't cry because I banged mine off the doorway. I have a butter cabinet. I gotta tell you, he's being way too careful with his stuff. Like the butter cabinet actually holds up better than a decal cabinet because I hit mine on the doorway. You put a little scratch in the clear coat, but you can just like buff it right out.
I do not suggest this.
If you do that with a decal cabinet, it hits the ink.
If you know Doug Manley and he can come in and fix your clear coat, then
well,
yes.
I haven't done Manly, yes. Yes.
Any TNAs on coin operation, and what are the reports from the operators?
Ridiculous. It's when you play the game, especially, it's meant for you to play with your friends. The ball times are not long. That makes operators extremely happy. It's fast, it's brutal, but it's also addictive and fun. We have one that we operate in Benton, Wisconsin. It's 900 people. We have 3 games in the bar. We have Jetsons, the original America's Most Haunted that Ben Heck and I built together, and my TNA. And all the money from that goes back to the volunteer fire department in our village. The TNA cash box at 25 cents a game is overflowing every single time I go out there to clean it out. It's ridiculous. So
how hard was it to source a company to make cassette tapes?
Oh, actually, it's super easy. There's a place called, it's like duplication.ca. They're from Canada. They're one of the major players in cassette duplication right now. They also duplicate CDs, but I don't think CDs are retro enough yet. but they still do tapes. Tapes are making a comeback right now, which is strange to hear, but people are starting to collect them. They're harder and harder to find at thrift stores. All the hipster guys are going in there and grabbing them. So.
My son inherited my dad's 97 Chevy S10 with a cassette deck in it. Scott gave him a copy of the cassette. First day he comes home from school driving his truck for the first time all by himself. All I hear is just shaking the whole neighborhood.
That's ridiculous. Any other questions?
Oh, right there.
Got one over here. Yeah.
Real quick, what kind of businesses are buying the TNAs these days? Is it bars, is it arcades, or what?
It's, when we first started spooking, we never, this sounds terrible, we didn't consider operators. Everybody I knew was a home guy. And, just trying to make games that made them happy. And a few people operated TNA. By the time we got to Rob Zombie, it picked up a little bit. The Domino's, a lot of those games went because it was a Domino's pizza game. If you owned a Domino's, you could throw it in your place. They did that. That was kind of a big thing. TNA is, I wouldn't say it's 50-50, home and operator. It's probably 60-40, but the interest from operators, and that's a whole big bell learning curve for us, and what it takes to keep those guys happy. It's ridiculous, yeah. Because as soon as word starts getting around that, hey, this pinball machine's making money and the ball times are short and people are playing in groups, it went off the rails. So we did take a little bit of flack early on that some of the home guys were like, hey, why are you taking it? Because we were getting games to locations where, but every time we'd send a game to a location, 5 more would sell. And a lot of them were to home guys. They'd go play on location and they'd heard about it, but it wasn't in New York or it wasn't in Los Angeles. And they would go there, they would play it, and they would buy it. And so we learned fast that Gary Stern's not wrong. You got to take care of some of those operators, man. They're really vital to this industry, even today.
All right, well, we reached 4 o'clock, so thank you again for coming.
Thank you.